Hello, good evening.
How are you?
Good, good. Staying warm finally, as California finally decided to decide it's fall.
Exactly. Yeah, we turned on our heater today. So
In LA? No way, I don't believe that.
yeah, I'm a baby now. I'm from Denver. And when I first moved here, I would make fun of everybody. They'd be like, "Oh, it's cold," when it's like 50 degrees, and I'm like, "What are you guys talking about?" But I've been here for 2 years, and I'm all acclimated. So whenever I go back to Denver during the holidays, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is so freezing."
Now you have the California skin.
I do.
So now when you go home, you'd be like, "Oh my God, this is freaking cold." And they're dressed up like an Eskimo.
Yeah, yeah. It was the worst the first winter that I went back home because I didn't think about the fact that it was going to be cold because it'd been so warm in LA, and I brought back maybe one long sleeve shirt because I didn't even break out any of my winter clothes, and I went back and it's like snowing and like 20 degrees, and I'm like I wasn't prepared for this. Like, did I just forget that I'm from here?
I remember one time I went to Colorado for snowboarding, and I was prepared for it, and I came out just like, and everyone else is kind of like barely wearing a sweatshirt and sweatpants outside, just kind of like used to it, and I'm like here like, this is freezing cold for me, but I'm gonna do it.
Exactly.
Well, happy Saturday! Thank you for spending your evening with me for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm
And
super excited.
congratulations on your new music that's over a week ago.
Yeah. So I put out the single for the EP about a week ago, and then this next Friday the full EP comes out. So.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up exactly, and because it was just over a week, and you're already creeping up on 2,000 views on YouTube with the music video.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it. It's had a really good reaction. I was really excited just for my friends and family to see what I've been working on since I've moved here, and then just for it to get such a good and big response so quickly was really awesome. And I'm really glad that everybody's responding to it really well and really liking what the story behind it and everything.
Well, how did you decide that to make your debut single? Because you have music on YouTube for other people to listen to, and also a live video of you doing a talent show. We could talk about that too.
Oh gosh, some of those. Oh gosh, see, it's always when you start putting out music that you start going through what actually is on the internet for me, and it's all of this stuff from when I was young that other people posted that I'm like, oh, I wish I could really take that stuff down. My 8th grade talent show. I think I'm all dressed up like a businesswoman on stage. It was so bad. So this is my first big. I wanted to make this the debut single because it was so personal to me. And I think as soon as I wrote it, I was like, you know what, I want people to hear this. This is really something that is really symbolic of who I am, especially as a person right now. And this is just this felt like a good place to start, I guess.
So how was it? So I'm assuming then for the single, My Father's Daughter, this is about your dad.
Yeah.
Correct? Is this about, so what's the story told behind it? Why is this so meaningful for you, especially in the music video as well? Because it was a strong music video.
Yeah. I think it's really, I've never really been afraid about being honest and open about taboo subjects. And I think there are a lot of things that, people don't want to talk about, especially when it comes to family. I think a lot of people are really, closed off about stuff that happens in their family. And for me, I have not had the greatest of relationships with my dad. I actually haven't had a relationship with him since I was 15, and for me that was a really big it was really important in my life. And I think the past really informs your future, and it's I don't regret anything about who I am or my childhood or anything like that. I feel like I'm a stronger and better person because of it. But there are traumas and issues and things that have happened that they just linger, and they cause pain, and they create issues later on in your life. I feel like your relationship with your parents and your parents' relationship with each other has a lot to do with the relationships you form later on in life. And I don't think that's really something I realized until I started seeing, patterns in my romantic relationships and kind of figuring out, where those roots lie and tying them back. And I think just I was at a place in my life where I was ready to take, I spent so much time running from my past and wanting to erase it or move on from it so completely that I didn't even have to think about it anymore, and I think writing this music was a way for me to be like, I can take ownership of this and understand that it's something about who I am as a person and that it informs who I am right now without feeling so bogged down by it. Like, I can accept that this is a part of me, but not accept that it has to like haunt me forever, if that makes any sense.
Yes, completely. And like, without going into like any deeper meaning for it, 'cause I know it's personal to yourself, but like, when doing the music video and then recording yourself and coming up with the lyrics, did you find yourself almost maybe even kind of borderline that emotional state of just kind of being vulnerable in your music?
Yeah, it was really hard, and I honestly didn't expect it to be, because the song came out pretty naturally. When I wrote it, I kind of went into songwriter mode where like it's hard because when you're writing music, it's you're wearing both hats, because you're wearing like the hat of the creative person who is feeling these feelings and trying to explain that emotion through song, but then you're also, you're playing the editor for your own work, and you're going through and you're like, does that make sense? Oh, how do I make this line mean this, this, and this? And I think for me, like, I found a lot of I feel like I hid behind the editor part a lot while I was working on it, because it was like, if I can look at this song from an objective point of view, it's not going to be as difficult for me to talk about it, and then even in, I think recording the vocals was was a little bit harder and everything, and like getting into like really what feeling, when I was working with my producer Drew Lewis on the production, really fleshing out kind of like that, the feeling behind the song and everything with the production. I kind of felt it there, but I really did not start to kind of feel that emotional connection or that vulnerability until I put out the video, or until I put out released the song, and then was really talking to people about it and what it meant, and I'm fielding all of these questions, and then it's really like, then I'm having to come to terms with it more than, like I said, like, I haven't had a relationship with my father for since I was 15. So, it did bring up a lot of, those memories and those thoughts, and like putting myself back in that situation, especially filming the music video, and like, because I'm acting and I'm not acting at the same time, So it was definitely interesting, and I definitely didn't realize that it was going to bring up so much stuff that it did. But I think I'm dealing with it okay, and I think ultimately I'm going to be proud that this is something that I've really put out there and been honest about.
Do you feel like with the music video as well that it gave you some kind of closure maybe in your personal life, and something that you were holding, like you said, with your father? Was there a closure feeling of like it's off your chest, kind of like it's now a weight lifted, that you feel like you've said it in a different way, like in a journal, but musically?
I really do. I honestly feel like I needed to make this statement in my life in order to move past it. And for me, music has always been the way to do that. And yeah, I really think I needed to put it all out there and be honest about this part of myself and this piece of my life, so I can be like, music in a way for me has always been chronicling my life and my journey. And for me, this was a really good way of saying, this is who I am right now, and this is something that I'm working past. But, in 5-10 years, I might not feel the same way. But I think I needed to get it out there and be fully honest about it to start really moving forward.
Now, can you give us maybe some teaser names for the rest of the songs on the EP? Is there going to be a storytelling behind all of it? Is it all kind of like one complete story in a sense?
So I wouldn't say it's not quite a concept album, but it definitely is. It toys with a lot about the past, present, and the future, and how they kind of all relate to each other. I like to kind of refer to the EP, or at least kind of what came out, as just a time capsule of who I am right now and my past, and how that informs my present and what I want from my future. So I can like briefly go through the tracks and kind of talk about how all that connects, if that would be helpful at all or interesting.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just curious for everybody else as well because it's coming out a week from now. So
Yeah. So I when I sat down to write this EP, it was something that I wanted to do because I love writing for other artists as well. But while writing for other people, you end up writing stuff that ends up being personal too. And I just kind of stockpiled all of these songs that I felt really a personal connection to, and like didn't feel like I would want to give these up to anybody. And so that was kind of what started the EP. Is I knew going into it that it was going to be very personal because that was the kind of music that I'd set aside for it. And then I think I wrote My Father's Daughter about, I knew that I was writing an EP, but it didn't quite have like a center. It didn't quite have a through line yet. And then I wrote My Father's Daughter, and then the rest of the songs that I'd already written and the ones to follow just all kind of fit together, and it just kind of made sense to me. So the EP actually starts with a song called Dead in the Water. That's more kind of like rock-ish, like alt pop kind of feel. And it is kind of like a revenge anthem, kind of like a
the Kelly Clarkson kind of anthem going on in there.
yeah, kind of like some guy like effed me over, and I'm kind of like looking for, like, it's kind of like revenge, like I'm dealing with this anger and everything. And it wasn't actually inspired by anybody in particular, but it was more kind of, I wrote it at the beginning of quarantine, and it was about kind of all of like the frustration and the tension that I was kind of like internalizing at the beginning of quarantine. I was also watching some like TV shows that were kind of like revenge, like drama themed. And so then I think I used the phrase "dead in the water" in a conversation, and I was like, oh my gosh, that would make a really cool song title. And so then I kind of worked backwards and wrote this revenge fantasy kind of song based on that title, and was like, okay, well, what would "dead in the water" mean in this kind of concept? And so it was just kind of, but then all of the emotion ended up being really real, because it was about, I was feeling all this like anger and frustration and stress about, like my school had gone online. Obviously live events stopped. Like a lot of things that I was working on just kind of disappeared. And that was really frustrating for me. And like I was feeling a lot of like anger and frustration about that. And so I like channeled it into this song about this like fake guy. It's not gonna work out for me. And so then from there, so that kind of like starts like as an anger, kind of like that feeling of like revenge and like wanting to like get even, I guess. And then from there it goes into My Father's Daughter, which ends up being kind of like that anger is still kind of there, but it's definitely more of like, I think there's a lot more like self-acceptance and some coming to terms with like my own issues in that. So that kind of like less anger, more, yeah, kind of more frustration, or more, like inner turmoil.
Yeah.
And then from there, I pivot into a song called My Type, which when I wrote it was just supposed to be like a funny kind of song, and then it ended up kind of tying in really well with the EP. And it's kind of about how, I tend to like date guys that aren't exactly like super nice or reliable. And kind of playing off the joke, well, if he's doing like A, B, and C, like not great guy things, so he must be my type. Kind of along the lines like almost My Father's Daughter, but like, the funny, lighthearted version.
Yeah.
And then the fourth track is honestly probably the most personal. If you can get more personal than My Father's Daughter, the fourth track is Take Care of You. And that is the only like piano ballad on the EP. And it was actually written from the perspective of an ex that I dated. And it was just kind of me. It was a really, really kind of toxic relationship. Again, like it was kind of the relationship that inspired the My Father's Daughter song and music video, that feeling that you've gotten away from toxic relationships and then they manifest in a different way in your life. Well, for me, it was, that relationship really had a big impact on me, because it was me realizing that my past, was so related to my present. And so that song is written from his perspective, and it's kind of like, yeah, the story of our like toxic relationship, but as told from his point of view. And that was probably the most vulnerable song on the EP for me to write and record. I think, I'm not very emotional, like when it comes to performing or playing my music. Like I'm pretty good at being, like I'm good at communicating emotion without being overly emotional while performing, if that makes any sense. But for me, this song,
composed.
Yeah, very composed. But this song, it was so hard. Like, it was so hard to record. It was so hard to write. Most of the takes that we got, I was like crying through. And it sounds gorgeous. And Drew did like an amazing job with the vocal production and everything on it. And it sounds amazing. But yeah, it really like everybody that I've, shown the song, kind of like a preview of it, it's like, oh my gosh, like this is just, how do you not cry listening to this? Like, so that's kind of that. But then, I really wanted it to end, there's been like a lot of like more, negative or like rather playful or really heartfelt emotions, on this EP. And I really wanted to end it on a happier, more positive note, like this is where I'm at right now in my life, and these are the things that I'm struggling with. But this is kind of what I want to look forward for my future. And so the last song is called Lucky You, and it kind of ended up being kind of like a fun, like disco kind of pop anthem. And it's about, kind of owning yourself and who you are, and just being, proud to be you, and feeling like, whoever you end up with or whoever's in your life, they are going to be somebody who, treasures that, or who, fully recognizes, your strengths. And it's kind of like that, very like, kind of like Lizzo, I love who I am, and whoever loves me is going to have to love me for who I am. And I really wanted to end it on that kind of note, where it was a little bit more of an uplifting vibe.
Now you're just making me cry. Most people never even expect it. I am a big advocate, and I love songwriters. Some of my favorite artists are songwriters. And from what you just told me, described about every song on your EP, it's like you've tapped into every element that a songwriter gets into. Takes in concept, like when you're talking about, is not necessarily a bad relationship or a bad boyfriend, but you wrote it during quarantine and the situations going around, but how you created a story based on the situation, and how everyone, that like the last song, Make It More Happy and Go Lucky, you're able to tell a story from one single idea and make it a bigger idea.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what songwriting is all about. One of my favorite, I go to the Los Angeles College of Music for songwriting, and one of the best pieces of advice I've ever gotten was from one of my teachers, Phil Swan, who said, a song isn't a big situation. A song is a moment in time, and you can make a song about, like right in the morning, like you wake up next to somebody, just like that 1 minute is an entire song, and just being able to, focus on the details of something and really break something down. And, it's nothing is ever too small to write a song about. And so I think that was one of the best pieces of advice that I've ever gotten, and I use frequently as a writer.
Now you even brought up, I was going to bring it up in the next question, that you moved out here from Denver all the way out here. You left small town Kansas, Denver, to Los Angeles, California. I like to consider between LA and Nashville, those are the two largest music scenes currently in the United States. New York, not so much anymore, but definitely between Nashville and LA. Why LA as a songwriter?
For me, I actually I visited Nashville for the first time a couple months ago, actually. But before that, I'd never, I'm from Colorado, and all of my family is kind of in the Western United States. And so I never really made it super far over East. So I guess for me, it was more, it was a toss up between LA and Nashville when I was looking at schools and when I was deciding kind of what I wanted to do for my future. But I have a family that I really like to visit and that I love, and they live in Corona, California. And so for me, it was like, well, it makes sense for me. I'm moving across, I'm moving to another state on my own, it'd be nice to at least have some family there, or some sort of, just in case anything happened, which in my first year here definitely did. So, like it was nice to have some sort of family like close by, whether or not they were like an hour or two away, just so that, if anything hit the fan, like I had somebody to rely on, and I think that was more of at the time it was less about, where I thought I would fit better as a musician, and more like, I'm moving out on my own at 19, and I need some space, but I also need to have a net to catch me if something falls through.
And for everyone watching, because I'm in Orange County, and I definitely know the trek to Corona and the inland from LA, and depends on the day. It can go from an hour to 3 hours, depending on what freeway and the traffic going there. The California tales of bad traffic are very true.
Yes. Yeah. I definitely found that out when I moved here, because, we have highways in Denver, but traffic here is just like another level of, intense. But yeah, it's really nice. I'll go over there. They're kind of like it's kind of nice because it feels like a different world from my life here in LA. So I'll go visit my grandparents, and it just feels like a completely different planet sometimes. And that's a really nice escape. So I'll go over there, and, we're all really big into hockey. That's our main thing that we all have in common. And so I'll go over there to watch, hockey games with them and everything, obviously pre-corona and all that. But yeah, it's like a nice little escape, I think.
Especially when at LA, the large city scene, those little small getaways make the difference, one for your sanity.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
Now, how are you liking the music community in LA as well? Like, I know last weekend you were doing a songwriter session. How have you found, at least within your music community, how everyone is? Are they accepting? Do you feel comfortable? Do you feel welcomed?
Yeah, I feel like really blessed to be a part of, a few different like music communities. Obviously I started at the Los Angeles College of Music, and the community there, we're all super supportive of each other. We're all doing writing sessions together, and really just like supportive in all different genres of music, different, different backgrounds. And it was really cool to find a community there of all, young people like me who are just like really, really passionate and like excited to learn and grow as musicians. And we're all kind of learning and growing together. And that was really awesome for me. And then when I turned 21, I started kind of, I turned 21, I just turned 22. So the October before I turned 21. And it was right after that I started kind of playing in jams around LA. The Sunset Jam on Mondays at the Viper Room I started doing first. And then from there I got into a jam once a month at the Satellite for an organization called Gritty and Pink. And that for me has been honestly my favorite thing that I've been a part of, because it's a community of all female musicians, and from all different backgrounds, and it's just super awesome. And it was started by Sheer Girl, and it's just all about kind of connecting female musicians to each other, and kind of giving us a safe space to really like learn and grow together. And for me, that it has been my favorite community since I've moved here, just because everybody is so supportive of each other. I've made so many amazing friendships with so many really like talented women and driven women, and that has been part of why I feel like my music so far has been so successful. Is Gritty has really just given me a platform to grow, and everybody has been so supportive of my music. I actually did a takeover of the Gritty channel yesterday, and yeah, I just feel so supported by those ladies and so blessed to have them in my life.
And you have a kick-ass PR agent, Miss Raquel. I'm friends with her, and we have a lot of mutual music connections. And she definitely she takes care of her female musicians, and she's such a great PR agent to have as well. She's a good friend of mine, so I'm not just going to say that, but she is, and she's amazing, and she understands and can definitely. When she sent me her music over, like, hey, give a listen to this like girl that I just signed on, and I was blown away. And I'd always trust that she knows what she's doing, and she really does.
Yeah, she's great. I actually met her at a Gritty event, which was crazy. The very first Gritty event that I was a part of in March, she came straight over to me and she goes, "I really like your vibe." And she goes, "You were really great on stage." And she handed me her card. She was like, "If you ever need PR, let me know." And then, I had kept it in my wallet forever. And then, I'm about to put out this music video and this EP. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I should give her a call. And then we started working together, and the rest is history. But yeah, she's great.
And what I'm really excited about for one hearing this EP is, I know you're in the LA music environment, but being a songwriter in LA is a lot harder than people really do think.
Oh, hold on. Sorry.
I
don't know what happened. Hold on. I don't know. Sorry, I guess my light went out, so we had to pivot.
It's totally fine.
Anyways, so you were saying about being a songwriter in LA.
That's a lot harder than what people think. And do you think it's a shock to you coming out here?
I would say, yeah, like I knew it was going to be difficult, and I knew it was going to be a lot of hard work. But I think the hardest part is just because it's it's just as much, I would say, like, I'm right. Like, I haven't, I wouldn't say that I've made it by any stretch of the imagination. Like, I feel like I came out here to work hard and to do something I'm passionate about, and that hasn't changed. And I definitely feel like the people who, from what I've witnessed so far, the people who are successful out here are people who are passionate about what they do and they work hard. And I've just said that I'm going to do that from day one, and wherever it goes from there, that's where it goes. And I've been blessed to like meet and work with a lot of really amazing and talented people since I moved here. And I hope that the amount of amazing and talented people I work with just tends to expand. And I hope I just keep getting better and better at what I do and loving it more and more every day, because that's how I feel. I look at what I'm the music that I'm releasing right now as opposed to the music that I was writing a year ago, and it's a night and day difference. I think it really just, it's all about continuing to do something over and over again, and just getting better and growing and meeting new people, and just kind of, expanding your network and expanding your skill set.
Now, you actually had your own band back in high school, Red Decision, correct? And you guys have played in Battle of the Bands too as well?
Yeah, oh gosh, so that was, calling it a band is a little bit of a stretch, to be honest, because
if you played in Battle of the Bands, you're in a band.
Yeah, it was the Battle of the Bands of my high school. And it was funny because, oh gosh, that was such a mess. I love that experience because it's actually what really made me want to pursue music after high school. Because what had happened is I was in my junior year when I formed that band, and I was in a lot of choirs, and I was doing a ton of music and voice lessons and all of that kind of stuff. But I kind of had this impression. I was like, I'm not going to do music after high school. It's just too much of a long shot. Like, I thought that I didn't think, my family would be supportive of it. And I was like, I'm not going to do this. And then I thought I was going to go into publishing, like book publishing, because I love like reading and writing. And I took a creative writing class, and I hated it, because I had to edit other people's writing, and I wanted to be like an editor and a publisher, and I was like reading people's writing and editing it, and I was like, oh, I hate this. I was like, this is horrible. I can't do this all the time. And so then and at the same time, I had kind of started working on that band, and we never played any shows besides that Battle of the Bands at my school. Like, we never, we talked about putting out some music, but it was never really anything super real. But what it did for me is every week I would bring a new song that I wrote to band practice, and we would flesh out the whole arrangement, and just every single week I would bring in a new song and we would work on it. And for me, my favorite part of every week was writing that song and bringing it into the band practice and fleshing it out, because, you know, it was just my favorite thing to do. Like, forget even like singing it, like writing the song every week, like, and seeing it come to life at rehearsal was just, it was the best thing ever so far to me. And then I started going into this creative writing class and realizing that I hated it, and realizing that I loved this other thing so much. And it was just really a clear choice. So I ended up sitting my mom down and being like, so I think I'm going to do music. And she was totally good with it. She looked me in the eyes and she went, thank God. And I was like, great, well, here we are. And so, you know, the main people in that band were me and my friend Oliver Hinchley, who is a really great guitar player. And it was mostly just the two of us, because we could never lock down a bassist, we could never lock down a drummer. And so it was mainly just us, and we just formed this great like writing duo where we were just, you know, I would bring him like lyrics and melody, and he would flesh out this awesome arrangement. And my first love for songwriting really started with him. And so I think, you know, even though I would describe that band as a hot mess, I think what I got out of it, you know, is exactly why I am here right now.
Well, even just like, even if you're not considering a band, you can still say, even with your guitar player, Oliver, that was the perfect grounds and starting point as a songwriter. That's the classic songwriter duo, is a guitar player and the singer. Whether they be best friends, whether they be dating, that's the ground zero.
Oh, I completely agree, you know, and it was the best because he was always so encouraging. Like, I'd bring in a new song, and they were always wildly different because, you know, I grew up, you know, my family and has such an eclectic taste in music, and it rubbed off on me. So, you know, I grew up listening to rock, pop, country, classical. Like, I've listened to everything, and so I think my music tends to really reflect that. And the EP itself is just incredibly diverse in the kind of music that I'm writing. And, you know, I think part of why Oliver and I's partnership worked so well is he was so adaptable. I would bring in a completely different song every week, and he'd be so excited and gung-ho to work on it. And I think that's all you can really ask for as a songwriter is, you know, finding a partner who's really excited about anything you're excited about.
Now I'm curious, because you are, like you said, you're 22, you're still young, but you're putting out your first EP ever at 22. Huge. That's a huge feat. That's a huge milestone in your life. But what I'm curious about, I like to ask this always, because you never know. Music is changing. Music tastes are changing. Everything's always, right now, we're at a crossroads with music. Things are changing more than ever via digital platform. Now concerts have been canceled in California for almost a freaking year. Who knows how much longer? But who were some of your, let's go with 5 inspirations musically that kind of shaped who you are growing up?
That's so tough. I think first I have to say Anna Nalick. As a singer and a songwriter, she is probably one of my biggest inspirations. I think her lyrics are amazing. She's just such a poet. And I just feel really emotionally moved by every single one of her songs. And I think that's such a feat. You know, I think nowadays, you know, songwriting sometimes comes across so structured, and people get so bogged down in, you know, this is the verse, this is the chorus, that they lose kind of like the feeling behind just writing a song. And I think she, you know, in a lot of ways, like, she abides by structure, but at the same time throws it out the window when it's necessary. And I think all of her songs are just so hooked into, you know, emotion and feeling, and she describes situations so artistically. And I think that is something that I really took and wanted to emulate in my music, is finding a way to describe situations in unique and illustrative ways. And so I think her for sure for that. I love Taylor Swift. I think she's one of the greatest writers of our generation. I think she has managed to do so many things as both an artist and a writer in so many different genres. And I think, you know, for young women, I think she's just a really great example of, you know, hard work and dedication and just, you know, being good at what you do. You know, I don't think, you know, I've never listened to a Taylor Swift song and, you know, not been able to look at it as a songwriter and be impressed. You know, every single thing that she does is so purposeful. And so I just think her craft as a songwriter. I mean, she was trained in Nashville, so that just goes to show. But I think as a songwriter, I think she's just incredible. And I've always, you know, I grew up with her too. So there's a lot of nostalgia there, but also just, you know, the more I learn about songwriting, the more I'm impressed by her. So I would say her. I really love ZZ Ward. She's
I love her. Great female musician. Incredibly talented.
No, she's great, and I love her music, and her songwriting is incredible as well. And her first album is just always, you know, if I ever don't know what to listen to, I'll put on her album because it's just so good, you know. And yeah, I think, you know, the way she kind of manages to make, you know, blues rock kind of, you know, more contemporary pop and kind of merge those two genres, I think is really interesting and captivating. So I would pick her for sure. And I would say I really like Hailstorm.
Good choice. A very good choice.
I really like Lizzie Hale is an incredible, like, singer, writer, guitarist. Like, she can shred. Oh my gosh, she's so cool. And
her voice, and as I described it, it's like you look at her frame and you hear her voice and the power that comes behind it. You're just like, whoa, where is this coming from? Yeah,
she's insane. And I also love, the thing that I love about her is she's so unapologetic. Like, she's gonna write about whatever she wants to write about, and she doesn't care about whether or not, you know, people think women should be talking about that or women should be writing about that, or, you know, she just kind of does whatever she wants. And I love that about her. I just think, you know, I wish more people were like that, where they were just so unapologetic and whatever is true to them, they'd write about. So I really like that about her. I guess, and for the last one, this is so hard. Like, I have so many that I could pull down. Oh gosh, I guess, this is so hard because I can think of like a million. I guess this is more, I guess this is like more current. I've really gotten into her, but I really, really love Donna Missel. If you've heard of her, she is super cool. She kind of reminds me of like ZZ Ward, kind of in that same kind of realm, but her voice is amazing, just like what she can do with her voice. And then her album, her most recent album, Lighter, has been a huge inspiration to me as of recently. I just feel like every single song is just so beautiful and has such, you know, every single song on that album has a place. And I think, yeah, I've just really been inspired by her music recently as well. So I would say right now, those are the 5. But tomorrow they would be different.
And that's the beautiful thing about music. It's everything is always, my tastes are always going to change. And like, some people are surprised, like, oh, what? You like, one of my favorite songwriters that I've interviewed as well, and good friends with her, name's Jenny Teeter. Like, oh, what are you listening to? I'm like, yeah, I'm rocking out to a girl right now singing about her boyfriend just dumping her. I don't give a fuck. It's fun.
Right, yeah. Well, I think the awesome thing about writing is you can write about a very specific subject and have it be so relatable at the same time. You know, like My Father's Daughter is obviously very, very personal to me. But, you know, I think a lot of people find that it's hard to run from your past, and your past catches up with you. And I think every song, you know, if a songwriter did their job right, then there's a through line that is going to be relatable to anybody listening to it.
100%. And I'm completely excited for your EP to come out this coming week. It's Friday, correct? Was it Friday? Yeah, Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Friday the 13th.
I know. Yeah, I didn't even think about that when I was, I was just thinking, okay, well, I want to get it out before the holidays, but uh, I did not even think about that. But that's kind of fun. I've always felt, luck has never been something that I've ever really been concerned about. I think some people are so worried about like walking under ladders and all that kind of stuff. I think you make your own luck. So I think it says something about me that I'm willing to release an EP that day.
Well, I'm going to be bumping it, and I'm going to be supporting it as well and promoting it. And when I have this is going to be on Instagram and whatnot for everyone to rewatch. And then also I'm going to have this uploaded on YouTube probably by Monday and have all the links to your music and whatnot on there so everyone can find you, heart you, download you, everything. Maybe
Awesome.
even follow the YouTube videos of your talent show performances as well.
I wish I could find who put those up because I would talk to them. But yes, thank you so much. I'm super excited for you and everybody else to hear it. I'm really excited to share it.
There's 2 songwriters I'm going to share with you as well on Instagram that are on 2 broad spectrums that I think you will fall in love with, because as a music connoisseur and connecting artists with other artists, that's my passion. I love this, and that's why Raquel and I are such great friends. One of them, I mentioned her before, her name's Jenny Teeter. She's a songwriter out of Nashville. Amazing story. She left her hometown of being married, perfect structured life, and she didn't like it and wanted to become a songwriter. But her songwriting skills, what she really excels at is writing such a great melody. Very simple, catchy songs, but they just get stuck in your head. Very melodic, very catchy. Another one, his name is Sean James, and he is a storyteller songwriter. And his voice has such like a gospel voice tone that it makes you feel like your soul's gonna cry. Like it's such like you feel like he's telling you a tale around a campfire story, but like at the same time you're just kind of like lost in the moment.
That's awesome. Send them my way. I'm super excited. I'm always looking for new music, so I'm really excited to listen to them.
2 broad spectrum. She's definitely more on the popper side, like Taylor Swift and whatnot. He's definitely more folk songwriting style, but like I interviewed him as well last year when he did a show. They're just 2 broad spectrums, but I would think maybe if I can give you some artists that would maybe show you like a broader sense of songwriting, and that helped you in any way, I would love to hope that would work.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, no, I'd love to listen to their stuff and connect with them. That's awesome. I'm really excited about that.
But thank you again for your time. And I'm all the way down in OC. Hopefully, when California can find its shows again, we can see you playing live, whatever California decides to on Sunset. I know everybody's hurting, especially like Viper Room, Troubadour, Whiskey. It's sad. It's a sad state right now, but hopefully 2021 we can start getting things back together. Because I've been already traveling out of state. Other states have been doing shows with their own restrictions, but I know California is going to be the last state to do anything.
Oh yeah, of course. Well, yeah, we're just in New York probably.
Oh yeah, obviously. We're California with our governor. I really don't like our governor, but that's a different topic. That's a whole different topic.
Yeah, I'm really excited to get back on stage. I've missed it a lot, and I'm really excited to hopefully play these songs live someday, because I think I think you'll hear when you get to some of the songs on the EP just in a live setting, like they would be just really kick ass. So I'm super excited for that in the future. Well,
I'm stoked to hear it coming out Friday the 13th. It's not bad luck. It's good luck for her. And I hope you have a great rest of your Saturday evening. Stay warm in this finally cold weather California is getting. And I'll have everything linked below when I put it on YouTube for everyone to find your stuff. And for everybody else, this interview will be on my profile as well, so you can rewatch it as much as your heart's desire, like the heart's going on the screen right now.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much for having me. It was so nice talking to you.
It was a pleasure meeting you, and I hope you have a great Saturday evening.
You too. Thanks so much.
Bye.